Just checking really quickly if there's audio in the room or if my speakers aren't working.
Angie, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Anything better?
Do you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay. Are you recording now or?
All right, we are ready to rock and roll.
All right. I'd like to call to order the 422nd regular planning commission meeting at 7:01, January 21, 2025. Will the clerk do roll call? Please.
Yes, sir. Commission member Brown,
I'm present.
Commission member Tan,
Present.
Commission member Santano,
Present.
Commission member Valerio,
Present.
Commission member Peters,
Present.
Commission member Stepper,
Present.
and Commission member Ricewig.
Present.
We do have a quorum.
Wonderful. Do we have any public comment this evening?
Somebody on Zoom has their hand raised. I'm going to allow Tim to talk. Tim, will you please identify your place of residence and your last name?
Oh, my name is Tim. That's about it. I'm Tim, guys. I'm happy to be here. I live on College Avenue. The state of the trees in this bitch are just like, I don't know, it's got me mad. Like, this town needs better trees. That's all.
Noted. Is there any other public comment?
I just got muted by the host. Whoever did that, fuck you.
Let's watch our language.
Please stop muting me. Don't fuck with me. All right. Let me talk about myself. So, hey! Sorry,
Okay, I removed him. Is there anybody else who would like to speak? Seeing none, we can move on.
All right, let's move on to the consent agenda. So, so everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from last meeting? Or should I say, is there anyone who has not had a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting? Hearing nothing, if we'd like to go ahead and approve the consent agenda, which is the approval of last month's meeting and tonight's agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Do we need a motion first?
Oh, sorry. Would somebody like to make an motion?
I would love to move to approve the consent agenda.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Oh, and say your name, please.
Oh, sorry, it was Angie that motioned to approve.
Kirby Brown, second.
Thank you. Those in favor?
Aye.
With your name, please. Oh, no name. Okay. Any opposed? It appears that it carries. All right. So at this point, I think I will turn it over to you, Mr. Rickard.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. The first thing on the agenda is just a real quick introduction of our three new planning commissioners. We have Claudia Santiano, Victor Valerio, and Brandon Stepper. Thank you all for volunteering your time to participate. We've got the next coming year and a half is going to be really interesting, and you guys signed on to some fun stuff. We'll be updating our comprehensive plan, so I really appreciate you guys volunteering and engaging with us. I will encourage, while we do offer the remote attendance option, going forward, when we really start to get into the comprehensive plan amendment process, I would encourage people, if they can, attend in person, especially when we if we end up having our consultant here in person. But anyhow, just a little, I like to have people in person if at all possible. I understand our lives are busy and attending remotely is very convenient. But just, okay, there's my soapbox on that. And that's all I have for that agenda item. We want to move on to 3 point. Oh, no, we have elections of officers would be the next.
Looks like that.
Next section, 3.02. And just real quickly, briefly, we have every year we do elections of officers around this time. We ended up having late last year because we had some planning commissioners resign. We ended up having to go through this process again, and Kirby Brown agreed to be the chair, and Todd Reiswig is our vice chair. Kirby, while his term was rather short, has purchased a home in Waitsburg, and he will be leaving us after this meeting. And so we need to fill both the chair position, and we should also opt to elect a new vice chair. I mean, it can be Todd, Mr. Reiswig, if everyone so wishes, but so the process would be to have a discussion. If anybody wants to volunteer, that's great. You would, or otherwise, a commissioner would nominate someone to be the chair, preferably someone that has a little bit of experience running meetings, but that's all right if they don't. So
They will give you a script to follow if you're not used to it.
Does
have a
Todd have any
question,
interest in
Claudia.
stepping up to chair?
I really don't. I chair another council, and my schedule in the summer can get very problematic in that with fire season, I may be gone for extended periods of time. I am happy to stay in the vice chair role if we don't have anyone that wants to fill that. I would prefer not to fill the chair role.
What are the duties of the chair and vice chair?
Primarily, it's, calling the meeting to order. When we have a hearing, you're running the hearing. If we're taking public comments, like on our comp plan, eventually we'll get to a hearing process. And you run the meeting, but there's no extra activities required outside of the meeting. It's mainly just keeping us in order, moving from one agenda item to the next, and crowd control, telling people to keep their language, watch their language,
Claudia had her hand raised.
I think she.
Pardon?
That was right.
Claudia had her hand raised.
That was Claudia.
Oh, that was him.
Everybody's awfully quiet.
I'd be willing to be chair. This is Peters, Angie Peters.
I make the motion that Angie be chair.
What was that?
Do we have a second?
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Congratulations.
And Kirby, were you the one that seconded that motion?
That was me, Victor.
Oh, that was Victor. Okay, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for being willing to do that.
And the
Is there-
vice chair fills in when the chair is not present, is that right?
Correct.
I'll be willing to be a second to Todd.
Would anybody like to nominate her?
So clarification, she said second to Todd.
Oh. Oh,
We only need one vice chair. So Claudia, if you're interested in being a vice chair, then you would be second place to Miss Peters.
Gotcha. I thought maybe Todd could stay on, and when he can't be there, then if a vice chair was needed, then I could step in.
So,
I like backups. That's good.
so the vice chair is really their only responsibility is if the chair is gone or
Right.
has vacated the premise.
Gotcha.
Claudia, given Todd's potential conflicts with fire schedule, would you be interested in just being the chair rather than the vice chair rather than serving as a backup?
Not having, I don't have experience on any of these committees. I think maybe I just wanna like observe for a while or, stay as a member and then see if that's okay.
Totally fair. Hearing that, I would nominate Todd to continue in the vice chair role.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
Aye.
Any opposed? Yay me. I would, and it's hard to remember, but when, my understanding is when we're making a, nomination or a motion, and when we're seconding, we need to make sure we say our name so they can keep track of that.
Thank you, Todd. Yeah, that's helpful for getting the minutes accurate if you're making motions or seconding motions, if you could. Sometimes they just pop, your name pops up on the screen real quick, but we don't always catch that, so.
Especially when you're deaf like me.
Yeah.
All right, I believe that concludes the election of our officers, which then means we move on to 3.03, which would be Mr. Rickard again, our countywide planning policy update.
Thank you. Okay, so 3 of you are new, and so you probably have not seen this document before. And we are so far along in the adoption process of this that I unfortunately cannot take the time to fully immerse you in the lovely content of this document. But I will give you a brief background on the process that we went through, and hopefully that makes you feel a little bit more comfortable about what I'm asking you to do this evening. So the countywide planning policies are an overarching document that is a requirement under the state of Washington's Growth Management Act, essentially. And this document helps guide counties and the cities within the counties on how to amend their comprehensive plans in a nutshell. So the original countywide planning policies was adopted in 1994, I believe, and then it was amended once in 2005. A really small minor amendment that had to do with the Port of Walla Walla mainly. So this document is that was so out of date that it was decided amongst the county staff and the county commissioners and the elected officials in the cities of College Place, Walla Walla, Prescott, and Waitsburg that we get together and amend the original countywide planning policies document. And so we jointly hired a consultant. We formed a technical advisory committee, the TAC, which consisted of representatives from each of the jurisdictions. For College Place, we had myself, Mayor Hernandez, and City Administrator Mike Rizzatello representing the city's portion of the TAC. And we went through over a year-long process of reviewing each section and bringing bits and pieces back to the Planning Commission, bringing pieces of that to the city council to update them on the process that we were going through. And towards the end of last year in the fall, I brought what I thought was the final document to the Planning Commission for asking the Planning Commission to make a recommendation to move to the city council to move it forward and move it forward so that the county commissioners could adopt the final version of it. We got a little bit ahead of the process. So we did end up getting a recommendation with a minor amendment Ms. Peters made a recommendation to amend the, add a goal and policy to the transportation section, and that was accepted by the TAC and also by the county commissioners. There were also 2 chapters at the end of the document that were considerably reformatted, and the chapters were actually flopped in order. 9 became 10 and 10 became 9, but they mainly have to do with the future amendments of the comprehensive plan and also the formation of a what they call it, an implementation advisory committee or something like that. That's not the exact terminology, but the gist of it is that going forward, this document's not just going to sit on a shelf. After it's adopted by the county, the jurisdictions will have representatives on this committee that will annually review the document, annually meet, discuss what sort of changes might be needed, and then bring those forward as necessary. So that's where we're at with the document. It has been, so at the end of December, the Board of County Commissioners. So let me step back just a second. In early December, the TAC unanimously voted to recommend that the Board of County Commissioners move the draft document forward and request that it be sent to the cities for ratification. And so that's where we're at right now. So the Board of County Commissioners at their meeting date was that at their December 23rd meeting in 2024, they unanimously voted to approve sending the final draft to the respective cities for ratification. And we have 90 days to ratify the Board of County Commissioners' actions. So what that means is essentially that the document's pretty much locked in place. It's an up or down vote that the council needs to provide, either ratifying it or rejecting it, and then the council would have to provide a written statement of why they're rejecting it, and then that would go to the county commissioners. The city of Walla Walla, they have already taken it to their planning commission earlier this month and got a recommendation to their city council to ratify it. And they held a workshop, I think, last week, and this week the city of Walla Walla is expected to ratify it and send that to the Board of County Commissioners. We're in the same boat right here. I'm requesting that you recommend ratification, motion to affirm the efforts of the project management team and recommend the final draft be presented to the city council for ratification. So if you have questions, I mean, we can get into the document, but that's kind of where we're at. So any questions at this point? Any questions about what I just said? And then maybe after that, if there's no questions about what I just said, then if there are any questions, follow-up questions about the document itself, maybe we can help out there.
This is Claudia. Can you tell me then what you're asking is for us to ratify the document, and the document is calling for part of it is for an advisory group to continue the work that has been already started?
Yes, that is part of it. Part of it is creation of an advisory group that'll make sure that the contents of the document stay up to date. The next step for also that advisory group will work together to create the methodologies that we will use to determine how much growth, how much urban growth area is allocated to the cities, how much percentage of the population allocations we'll get, things of that nature. So it's the next, that advisory group will be key in the early stages of the comprehensive plan process. Did that answer your question, Ms. Santiago?
Yeah, Santillano, yeah, thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're
Thank
good.
you.
I have a question, John.
Yeah.
How often does the state require us to do this?
My recollection is that there was not a requirement to update the countywide planning policies. It was more of the staff basically from the various jurisdictions said, we need more guidance.
Yeah, well, it was very outdated.
Yeah,
Okay. So this, just for clarifying, this group helps us move forward to keep it more current and pertinent, so we're not having to go through a major revamp in 15 or 20 years.
correct, yeah.
Anybody
So
have
the-
any additional questions for Mr. Rickard?
So the ask from this member is to approve this document so that it can move forward to the next stage. What is the next stage?
Then the next stage is, based on your recommendation, I will take it to the city council and the city council would be asked to ratify the document and send it basically stating that they're in agreement with what's in the document and send that on to the county commissioners for final adoption of the document.
If I'm looking at this is Claudia, if I'm looking at the slides, the slides, let's see, I don't know if there's a number, I guess slide number 10, approval process. We're on the first step and we're asking, then, so this document needs to be ratified so that we can move on to the next, to step number 2, is that right?
So you're looking at that, yes, essentially, yeah, we're at step 2.
Step 2, second time around, really, aren't we?
Step 2, second time around. We already did get a recommendation back in September from the planning commission, but the last 2 chapters were basically adjusted.
Oh, okay, so it has been kind of recommended already, it's just the modifications on chapter 9 and 10 are the ones that we're reviewing now.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. And so we're in step 2. Once it goes to, from here, then it goes to step 3 to approval by the cities and the Board of County Commissioners.
So part of step 2 is your because you're a recommending body to the city council, your recommendation goes to the city council for actual ratification. And so there'll be a resolution created. That resolution will be sent to the Board of County Commissioners, and the Board of County Commissioners, that is step 3. They are the ones that will do the final adoption of the document, because while we all worked on it and we're all within, all of our jurisdictions provided feedback and input, the document itself is required to be adopted by the county. So they're the lead agency on it. So I'm not gonna go on.
You're on, Kim. I do have a quick question, more from my understanding. So if I'm getting too into the weeds, just tell me that. But the county, as I understand it, the countywide planning policies are a requirement of the Growth Management Act. So does that then make them necessary to update every 10 years? Or is there a different RCW that would provide guidance on that?
So our comprehensive plans are what's required to be updated every 10 years and under the Growth Management Act. It's been a while since I looked at it, but my understanding is that the countywide planning policies were that first step back in the early 90s when we were required to start doing comprehensive plans. And then I think the idea was that we're supposed to kind of check back in with that document and keep it updated over the years, and that just kind of never happened.
I'm first supportive of the updates, but does this document, does it technically have to exist if we now live under the comprehensive plan and the Growth Management Act?
I don't have the answer to that.
Okay.
Stab at that, I think it's, I don't know these pages, but I believe my understanding is it gives us a framework, so we have the different entities that historically have not always played nice, gives us a framework to make those decisions forward. So while I don't believe it's required of that, it allows us to meet the goals that are required by the office.
I think that's well said. And I would agree with that.
I think that whoever was speaking was not mic'd. I might have gotten about 70% of it via the captions. And so I'm going to tell you what I think I heard, and you let me know if that's correct, that while it may not necessarily be correct or required, it does allow you to meet the goals set within the comprehensive plan. So it's a helpful guidance document in that way.
Yeah, and my bad, I had the bike off. Yeah, it gives us a framework to work through the challenges to meet that comprehensive plan. So while not everybody may be in agreement, it helps us work through that process.
Fantastic. Thank you. That context is really helpful.
If nobody has any other questions, I guess we could look for a motion to approve or disapprove recommending this to the city council.
I move that we approve this and move it over to city council. This is Claudia.
I'll
So-
second. This is Angie.
We do have a prepared recommended action if you would like to utilize that. It's in the agenda item under recommended action.
I will, okay. Motion to affirm the efforts of the PMT and recommend the final draft be presented to the city council for ratification.
Second. This is Angie.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Looks like it is carried and recommended to move forward in the process.
Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate the conversation and questions.
So closing items. Do we have any closing items?
Oh, yeah, I guess I didn't introduce Michael Merritt, our new senior planner. He comes from 2 years of experience with the county, but also I think 8 years of additional planning back in Ohio. So 8 to somewhere along. Yeah. So I'm really happy to have him on board. It's nice to have somebody that speaks planner besides myself here at the office. It's a challenging language sometimes. So looking forward to continuing to work with him.
Welcome. Welcome to not only your job, but to the right side of the country, or the appropriate side of the country, I should say. That's all I have.
Nothing really exciting to report on. Our permit activity is already ticked up. Actually, I will mention that. We have 7 new residential housing applications that have been submitted since the first of the year for houses within the villages of Garrison Creek, that final phase 12. So that's exciting because we only issued 1 new house start last year. So yeah. Lots of other permits. We had a lot of apartment activity last year and commercial stuff. And yeah, so we've been busy, but
Did the project over by the water tanks, did that go by the wayside?
no, we're still talking to them. That's the villages at Fort Walla Walla off of Whitman, that 180 unit complex. They're still communicating with us. They had some restructuring of their partnerships, and so it's not dead yet.
Good. Any new interest from outside businesses that you can speak to, or is it?
Mike has been in conversation with quite a few different businesses over the last year. There's some hotel still interested in the area, some retailers. Nothing. I think Walmart is considering a gas station, but I haven't seen anything. But not anything I can really talk about. Yeah.
Wonderful. Refresh my memory. Do I need a motion to call it to?
Yes.
I have a question. This is Claudia. With me being a new member in this committee, is there any like reading I can do or anything to be better prepared for next time? Or what kinds of items are we reviewing in this group, and what kind of information should we like be aware of to make better like informed decisions?
Sure. We can get you some resources. I can send you links to our existing comprehensive plan, our zoning code, development regulations. You can look those things over. The comp plan is going to be the big thing that we're overhauling in the coming year. So having a good understanding of what's in our current comp plan, and if there's any areas where you see deficiencies, or just having a good understanding of it would be beneficial, so that when we go forward and we start talking about certain sections of it, you're familiar. And did you have anything to add? I saw you.
I was just going to know, this is Michael, the new senior planner. If you have any questions when you're reviewing those documents, you can certainly reach out to me. I'm learning them as well, and probably need to continue to review them.
So maybe what I'll ask Michael to do is actually put together an email to all of the commissioners with links to relevant documents, and that'll be a good exercise for him to familiarize himself with what's out there. We are working with JUB engineers and planning on our comprehensive plan. They'll be leading us through the process. They have 2 planners that we'll be working with closely. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you. Good question.
So generally our meetings aren't terribly long. Sometimes they run a little longer, but sometimes, and they're usually relatively pleasant.
Yeah. Yes, that was, I think, a bot, or I'm not sure. That was what happened earlier in the public comment section. I was starting to get the sense that was going to happen. That was weird. That doesn't normally happen. That's happened a few times at our council meetings, but I don't think it's happened at any of the other boards and commission meetings that I'm aware of. So that's a first for us.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mary Elizabeth, for quickly getting that person removed from the meeting. That's always nerve-wracking.
You're very welcome.
I don't think there's anything else. Yeah, an hour is usually a minimum amount of time that we'll have our meetings. Sometimes, depending on our prior consultant, Greg Dorn, had a way with words, and great guy, and he did some good work for us, but sometimes our meetings would go on for a long time. But as we get into the comp plan, my plan is to have our consultant meet with us monthly so that we don't end up having 2-3 hour meetings talking about topics that, and rehashing stuff. I prefer to have monthly meetings so that we can, so that information is still fresh from one meeting to the next. Because, 30 days going by, you can tend to kind of forget about what's going on, so.
Wonderful. Well, if city staff doesn't have anything else and nobody else has any questions or comment, do I hear a motion for us to close the meeting?
All motion to close the meeting.
Who motioned and who seconded?
I second Claudia.
Commissioner Brown here. I motion to close.
Wonderful. Thank you for your time. Sorry you're moving away to another city.
Yeah, thank you, Kirby, for the brief amount of time we had with you. It was enjoyable.
Yeah, my pleasure. I do. That's the downside, is I was looking forward to, I wanted to stay in College Place, but this is where we found a place that met our needs and price point. And well, maybe I'll be able to serve over here. We'll see.
Wonderful. Any opposed to us being done? Hearing nothing, I say the motion carries and we can close the meeting at 7:39. Again, January 21st, 2025. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.